Hi, my name is Meggie Houle, and welcome to Worthwile. This podcast is meant to bring you to a step in a phase in your life that you feel worthwhile living. Now, how I got here, I published my first book, Finish What You Start, October 2021, and you can get your copy at finishwhatyoustartbook.com and get through it. And what really I did with this book is to put a step by step to help people finish what they start. Not with your normal to-do list, because what I find is that people who are trying to be organized and get things done and have goals in life, they know where they want to get. It's not because they like the direction of where they want to go. If we were to put them in a confined room for a weekend and have them just work on that goal and having no distraction at all and nothing else to think or do, they will get through it. They know exactly what to do and they have all the answer in. But what's really blocking them to achieve those goals are other external factors and internal factors that are stopping them, getting in their way, like procrastination, distraction, mind wandering, just having too much to do most of the time and not really knowing how to prioritize. And so in whichever way those blocks come in their life to achieve their goals, it has nothing to do with what they know how to get there. It has to do with sometimes the conditioning or some of the behaviors and habits that they are just seem to not be able to shake off. And so the goal with this book is to take the knowledge that I have from my own experience, and I want to get there in a minute, in hundreds of sessions and hours that I have with my own clients as a hypnotherapist, where I was really helpful with my clients and where it was really rewarding and where we could get them to is to have just this sense of fulfillment that they were trying to get in their life, the achievement, and helping them to get there. And so that may be like a different approach that you may have in your life. I work on a holistic level, but because there's no amount of to-do list, I can help you finish a to-do list. You can get all the information online to get you to be organized, to a step-by-step to do all the things. And that's not what's really where I want to help my people, is to really help them come up with what's getting in their way to get there, because they have this knowledge. And in the ways that it's been blocking them in their life, it's impacting their ability to feel fulfilled and happy and satisfied with where they are at. And that means that even if they achieve the greatest accomplishment in their life, they have the house, the husband, they have the money, the business, they have all the things. When they get there, they don't have that sense of fulfillment. So what is it worth to get to a goal if you don't have this sense within you of feeling fulfilled and happy in your life? And so that's really what this is about, to help you to get there in a subconscious way, because that's what hypnotherapy really does. We get to the subconscious and work on the subconscious level to remove some of those habits and programming that are running on autopilot that we are not aware consciously, because if we were aware consciously, it would be much easier to get a hang of them. So when we work on the subconscious level, we're able to get to the root of what's going on in a very more efficient, faster way. And once we learn to get to that state of on the subconscious mind, it allows us to be able to achieve that state when we need it. So when I first started hypnotherapy years and years ago, honestly, I had never tried it. I had no idea if I could even, the first time, of course, but if I had no idea if I could even get hypnotized. It was in my mid-20s, and I just thought it was almost impossible because my mind, I couldn't listen to mostly any meditation in life. I felt like my mind was wandering too much. I was scattered most of the time. And it was just hard for me to listen without feeling that I had to move and do something else to one recording. And I've tried. It's not because I didn't try, because everyone said so many good things about meditation. So I've tried many of those. But the first time I really experienced hypnosis, and when I learned how to be an hypnotherapist, then this is when I realized that that was a state that I had never experienced before, where my own mind felt calmer, where I could finally relax, and where I could actually just not worry for a minute. And in the dictionary, hypnotherapy means the bypass of the critical factor. And if you know a little bit about that, the critical factor is it's your judging, it's your comparing mechanism. So what it really does, it compare with everything that you perceive all the time with what's already in your subconscious mind. And so that's why it's really hard to do any change in a conscious mind, because you have this critical factor that's like want to conserve energy all the time, because energy is a resource that's limited. And so to conserve that energy, it actually perceive, and if it doesn't match with what's already in your subconscious mind, then it rejects it most of the time. And so when we do hypnotherapy, we actually bypass that critical factor so we can access directly what's in the subconscious mind and get to the root of those elements in there, the image, thinking, feeling, behaviors, whatever it is, to really untangle them and address them and do what's need to be done to remove them and resolve them the way we want them to be in our life. Now, so hypnosis is just a natural state. We can give it so many names. It's a trance state. It's the theta state, an alpha state. That's what also you get so many ideas. So all those states that we can achieve, it's just a state of mind. In meditation alone, it doesn't mean that we always reach that state. We may still be in some of those states that's always trying to do the things. But when you are in one of those deeper state, hypnotic state, it's really about the being. And once you're there and you can get to feel, then that's when you can really make changes in your life. So that's what hypnosis really does. And that's why it's so powerful. And I use it every day in my life as a form of, if you want to say, meditation, relaxation, however, just to allow myself to get to those places and every day to stay in alignment with what I want to accomplish in my life. And it's very powerful that way. So what's really I've been interesting in my journey is when I started hypnotherapy. I remember the first time, it took me longer to get into that state. But nowadays, having practiced hypnosis so much to practice to get into that state, whenever I listen to hypnotic tape or anything that's kind of a hypnotic nature, something that's just relaxing and allowing me to go to that deeper state, it's like I get into that state very quickly now because I've trained my brain to get there. And so the changes I achieve in my life, I can get results quicker and spend less time feeling comfortable and discomfort in my life. And that's really why we do any of these things in our life. And that's worthwhile. Now, just a backstory on me. So, yes, I'm a best-selling author of Finish What You Start. And that really came to me after this whole change and transformation journey. Wasn't something that, not that I didn't choose, but in my case, I think in the universe has its own way to teach us the lessons. And in 2017, I had an accident. And that accident was me flying my paraglider, have not taking care of my body. I haven't eaten for hours. I was restless. I wanted to keep flying. I wanted to do the thing without really being in my body at that moment. But that's irrelevant at this moment. And I was flying and I started feeling so hungry that the only thing I wanted to do was to go land. In low blood sugar, I was tired, I was hungry. I had dismissed all the signs that I should have been following, which will have led me to not even taking that flight. But at the moment of landing, I did a maneuver that meant that I fell stiffly, so my paraglider stopped flying because I pulled too hard on the brake when I was at 30 feet high. So that's about 10 meters. It's a third-story building. It's the height of a third-story building. So it's worth to take in consideration that people die from that height. Some people fall and have zero scratch. Some people break all the bones of their body. It's so different for everyone that just that I'm here today, I'm really thankful and grateful for that. But also the other thing I'm grateful for is that I'm still walking. Because when I fell that high, which I landed on my feet, but from 30 feet, you understand that there was some shock in my body. And so that went through the weakest link of my back and broke my L1 in an unstable fracture, which meaning it was pushing on my spinal cord and bruised my spinal cord, and my whole pelvic area got paralyzed from my sacrum on L1. Also, L1, people that break L1 could easily be completely paralyzed in the entire lower body. That didn't happen to me. But I had to go through surgeries. I had PTSD from the event. Now I had to use catheters to go to the bathroom. And I was just going after the surgery of that grandeur just mean that there's a lot of recovery that comes with it. I wish I could say that I had the exact support system that I needed at that moment. And I did. I think I did. I had what I needed, because what actually happened is I stayed in the hospital for 3 weeks. And in that stage in my life, I decided to not tell anyone that I just had an accident, which means that I went through that mostly alone. But in its own way, it was really healing for me. I can see it now, but there's been a lot of hardship, and I wouldn't recommend that. But it means that there's been a lot of obstacle along the road that I had to face on my own, with having no one enabling me. I was really doing all the work on my own. And the interesting thing for me is I spent 3 weeks in the hospital, and I went to countless physiotherapist appointment after, a neurologist appointment, and all kind of really professional to check on my body. And what struck with me only a year later was that during that time, no one ever asked me how I was doing mentally. It didn't even occur to any of the professionals to just ask me if I was seeing any mental health professional or something like that. I had a lot of questions about my body, how it was functioning, and it was functioning fine. I was recovering fine. I was doing great because thankfully I was really in great shape before the accident. And so because of that, and I was in that moment, I was in a state of shock, which means I wasn't even aware how bad this was getting, the loop of the PTSD of not being able to sleep at night because I was replaying the event, and I was ashamed of what happened, and I was confused what happened, and I was fearful of even walking outside because I was thinking, if I fall, I can't even get up. And then I was afraid of all the things that other people would think of me, of even dating, because now I had to use catheters. I didn't know if I could even feel having intercourse, all that kind of stuff going through my mind. And so it was a really few hard months that I had to work mentally in trying to get myself out of that every single day to just wake up. And thankfully, I think the greatest gift I did for myself at that moment is to decide to go back to work, because then it was in some ways pushing me to show up every day and not just staying in bed and going through all of this on my own. But then it was a distractor, but at that moment it was what I needed, because I wasn't able to express myself because I was still much stuck in the trauma. And it took me a lot of months before I was able to get out of that dark place. And the thing that first really helped me at the beginning was, because I had to use catheters, it was really, I thought I had to use them forever. But it so happened that the roommate I had at that moment had lost his wife from cancer. And she was about 30 years old when she passed. But one thing that he mentioned to me is that they did a surgery on her, and they said that she would have to use catheters forever because she had lost the ability of going to the bathroom on her own. And she decided that she did not want to use catheters. She hated them. And so, against everyone's said and doctor's advisory and everything everyone said, she worked really hard to force herself to find the ways and create these pathways, and she stopped using catheters against everyone's saying, against the odds. She passed away not so long after, so I've never had a chance to even meet her. But to simply be able to know that she did, I think if I had never heard him talk about her that way, because she was really strong. She was so strong mentally. If I didn't know that it was possible to be so strong mentally that we could fight against the odd of something like that, I don't think I would have tried myself to get out of that same condition that I had using catheters. So it took me 7-8 months to be able to do that. And it was work every single day. And in all honesty, there's some days that I just wanted to give up and not even try. And it was really hard. But there are some days that I almost felt successful. But the hard work every day, just because I knew she did and was successful, allowed me to keep faith, to keep hope. And I think that's what's a lot of our life, everything we do. We have a hope, a wish, a faith, however you want to call it, religious or non-religious. We believe in something, that there is a possibility to feel different, to be different, that there is something happier and much greater that we can achieve. Because if we knew right off the bat that we would do, we will never try to feel different, to be different, to change anything in our life. If we knew from the get-go, they wouldn't be successful. And it's all worthwhile. All the work we're doing, the pain, the discomfort. While we're in the middle of it, sometimes we don't understand why we're doing it. We don't see the light at the end. We can try and feel like we're never going to be successful. But at the end of the day, there's a state that we are trying to achieve for ourselves that we know that exists. And just because of that, we wake up every day. We keep trying every day. It's worth it for ourselves to do this, just to maybe have a glimpse of what may be out there if we just even try. And I'm hoping this podcast is what's going to be helping others to give them the hope in you, listener, to give you some hope, some tools, maybe some strategies, but it's more than that. I'm more than just to-do lists and strategies and that kind of stuff. I go much deeper when I talk. I like to talk about the subconscious behaviors and program and patterns that we hold and inquire about those and question ourselves on what's really happening and going on truly within ourselves. Because only when we get to the truth of what's really going on are we able to get the result that we want. And so this is one of many. And I hope to be able to share a lot of the wisdom that I acquire and to get others to come to this podcast to also help you share with that. So this is just the start. This is just the start of a long podcast that's going to be here to make your life, the whole life, worthwhile. All the hardship, all the pain, all the struggle, every day, every time you have a glimpse that feeling it's too hard to keep going, there's something worthwhile at the end of it. And you might not be seeing it yet, but it's there. It's there. Now, if you haven't got a copy of my book, make sure you go on finishwhatyoustartbook.com and get your free copy so you can read and get some of those ideas and tools to get started in this. And I'm welcoming you on this journey on making your life and yourself worthwhile to all of your everyday that you're doing and thinking. And I'm here for you, and I can't wait to share that with you. Goodbye. My name is Meggie Houle. See ya.